My last video. I was a genius and recorded it. Probably spent about a good almost an hour recording a video without sound that now I have to delete. Unfortunately, I look like a complete tool more than usual. But so I gotta try this again. So thank you guys for watching my show. If you end up watching it, I haven't been doing gameplay videos because, well, I've been trying to finish my back catalog, not finish it, but try to put a dent in it a little bit, maybe. So, yeah. So that's been going on. This music's really loud. Let me try to turn it down so it's not totally obnoxious. Sounds like a fucking disco in here. It's so dumb you have to use your phone to do this shit. Or your tablet, see, you have to control it through this. I guess it's kind of cool and convenient in a way. You might be able to use, I think you can use your PlayStation Vita, but I mean, all 5 of you that has that actually have a Vita, just so I could play Persona Golden, which was probably a stupid and impulsive decision, but kind of known for those. So apparently there's like all these tunes that you have, and not that it really matters and it's all in reverse, but yeah, apparently you can mix them and shit like that, but it's, I don't know, it's kind of obnoxious. I wanted a little bit of background music, one that I wouldn't get sued for. Otherwise I play one of my records in the background, which you really can't see because of this wonderful expensive futon that's blocking it. I don't know if you picked up on sarcasm, but it was definitely there. You're gonna see like a little deal over there saying I signed off. So I'm not trying to waste all my phone's power on this wonderful broadcast that I've spent so much time preparing that for an hour I made a broadcast without making sound. I had a viewer for a few seconds there. That felt kind of good. Now it feels kind of bad that they left. Oh well. Anyway, yeah, so I've been trying to work on the back catalog, which is kind of hard to play games and record games at the same time, especially if they're not the games you're playing. So I've been doing these vlogs, or we'll call it my show, which I've been calling it because of the lights and the sign. It looks a little bit more fancier than what I might normally do. So yeah, what's been going on in the past one day, because I've been doing these videos so close together. So not a whole lot. I've had to decide whether to go to New York sometime after this month or whatever, to spread my grandmother's ashes. I don't know how emotional that's going to be. I haven't really had one of those breakdown and cry moments. I've been kind of numb about it, and I don't know, sometimes I get angry and sad sometimes about it, and frustrated and feel a little bit claustrophobic and boxed in, but I haven't really dealt with it emotionally, and I don't know if it would hit me all at once if I went. I know when my grandfather passed away, I was really numb about it. Like, essentially I watched both of them kind of die, which is not all that common. Usually most people get a phone call or whatever, but no, I never had a breakdown moment. And I remember when they actually had a service at mass or whatever for my grandfather, because he was Catholic. I'm baptized Catholic. I don't know what you would call me. I don't really want to get into religion at this point in time. I don't want to alienate anybody, so I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, all of a sudden I felt like breaking down in somewhere that's 9 hours away from home might be a little bit tough, and with like my mother's not going, and my mother kind of softens the edge a little bit. It'd be going with my father, so I don't know how that'll turn out. I don't know if I'm going or not, but if I randomly disappear for a while, that's what happened. But I have to find somebody to take care of my animals. So back to video games. There is a point to all this. So I played, like I said in another video, Battleborn. I played quite a bit of Overwatch, not quite a bit, but enough to get an understanding of the game. Battleborn came out this week, I believe. A lot of people haven't been happy with it. Based on the beta, I kind of felt that way. I don't really like those types of games. Borderlands 2 is okay. I never played the pre-sequel, and I never, even though it's on the Handsome Jack collection, which I have. If you notice, I move my hands a lot when I talk. Yeah, so I guess it's kind of like a follow-up to Borderlands, but it's online only, which is kind of stupid because like it has a single-player campaign. I don't know what Gearbox is doing, because I believe they advertised that you could play it offline for a while, but now you can't. It's just like Destiny. I don't understand why that didn't have a single player campaign when it had AI assets, or for instance the crew, I think it's what it's called, that has AI assets. If you have AI assets, I believe that you should be able to play it offline. You know, people complain about Star Wars, but there are offline modes, and not just the missions modes. There's modes where you can play like against a bunch of like bad guys, and you can play split screen and all this stuff without actually having a online connection. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of modes where you can fly the spaceships and stuff like that. EA is pretty active, or DICE is pretty active, like online, and at least pretends to listen to people. And they said all this stuff that we're asking for is going to show up in the near future. I don't know if it will or not. I think everybody's pretty much lost faith in Battlefield that aren't into Battlefield already, so I don't think they'll try it out. So you either like it or you hate it or whatever. I personally like it, but that's just me, and I fully understand why there's people that are against it. You know, I'm not going to shoot anybody down as long as they're being reasonable about their opinions. Like, I can't stand it when somebody forms an opinion based on a magazine article without actually fucking having any experience with it. I think that's a bit ridiculous, but that's my opinion. Take it for what you will. So yeah, I played Battleborn. I wasn't that crazy about it on the beta. I didn't buy it. Maybe the game's more action-packed, but people don't really seem to be into it. But I played Overwatch, and that's an online-only game too. I'm not really interested in either one, but if I had to pick based on the betas, I would definitely pick Overwatch, just because I feel like the characters are more interesting. Gearbox has never really offered anything for free. Blizzard's offering free characters, free updates. Blizzard's always balancing all their games and stuff like that. And the game was actually fun because all the different characters were made for all different skill levels, so you don't have to be like a tournament tier player in order to enjoy it. You can suck ass at games like that, like I typically do. And then like play as like somebody who gives support. Like, there's no weapon pickups or anything like that. Like, your character has like their specific weapon, unlimited powers, and then you get a special power that you can use once you kill enough people or whatever. And it's really fun for what it is. I don't typically like those kinds of games. unless it's a license like I'm into, but like I haven't played much of it. I'd like to play more of it. Destiny seems pretty cool, especially since they revamped everything. And I really like Star Wars Battlefront, but that's not an online only game. Like it's fun playing with friends and stuff like that, and sometimes solo when you play the AI controlled bots or whatever. Um, a lot of people are paranoid about games being online and stuff like that, which is understandable, especially this day and age, not only for the concept of a rental and not being able to play it forever, but on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, you have to pay for a service in order to even play the fucking game, which I think is a little overboard for online required games. I think for online required games, it should be free. That's just my opinion. It's probably a stupid business decision if you're making bank, but I feel like if it's a required, it's like, why do you have to pay for a service? Because you're already kind of paying a price because you're not going to be able to play the game forever. So you're not only buying the game, but you're paying to actually be able to play it. It's a little far-fetched. That's one thing I'll give PC players, and it used to be that way with the PlayStation 3, but now PlayStation 3 is pretty much obsolete. Not to me. I absolutely love my PlayStation 3, but and I'll still buy games for it until I can't anymore. Although I pretty much am at the point where I have everything that I want. But there are a lot of cool games coming out. Uncharted obviously just came out. I actually just got my copy. This says optional online. It's backwards because of the PlayStation camera. I don't know if it has to do with it recording with two lenses or whatever, but yeah. So optional online. I don't know why it wouldn't. I don't know why like it would require an online connection. Like I said, like most games on the PlayStation 4, if you actually do the math or whatever, do not require an online connection. Sometimes it might be annoying if you have leaderboards and stuff like that that always pop up, and it'll have like a reminder or whatever that you don't have like a online connection or whatever. But I mean, if you really like the game, that's like a small price to pay. So that's just my opinion. I'm not fully against online games because if you think about it, back in the arcade or whatever, before consoles were really popular, I mean, you would go in, pay your quarter, and enjoy the game as long as you possibly could, and then the next time you go in, the game would be replaced by a different machine. But that's just me. I always have this mentality that everything's gonna be lost anyway. I lived in a house with really shitty roommates, and they really fucked me over, and I ended up losing my house and everything, and I had to start from scratch all over again, and that just kind of replays in my mind a lot. So I always have like this feeling, or I don't know, almost like this philosophy that everything's going to be taken away from me at some point. Also, I realize that I'm going to die one day, so nothing really lasts forever. So if it's something that I'm really into, I would want to play it. But I mean, I'm not like a sucker or anything like that. Like, it has to be something I'm really into or whatever. But I don't ever want to wonder what was that game like, or feel like I missed out on an experience if I actually had a chance. But between those two games, in my personal opinion, based on what I played, even though I don't like those games, but since this is a gaming related channel, I would probably get Overwatch. But I would probably, in my personal opinion, wouldn't pay full price for either game, because to me, multiplayer always feels like a part of a game. Like, usually you would have like a main game and then multiplayer, which is kind of contradicting my love for Star Wars Battlefront. Oh well. there there are single player things, but maybe they're not the single player things you want. The missions on Battlefront are a joke though, but there are single player things that you can do. And Battlefront, and you guys can get mad at me or whatever, their single player campaign was basically bots and you playing like a multiplayer map with bots, and they just put cutscenes in the middle of it, but it was the same sort of thing. The only thing that Battlefront's missing on single player are spaceship battles in space, as well as the grounded ones. They have a cool mode called Flight Squadron or whatever, which is like my favorite mode. And yeah, they don't really have a single player version of that, but like I said, they promised that they would. Anyway, Uncharted, it's Naughty Dog. I actually bought it a long time ago. It took forever to get here. Everybody's talking about it on the internet. I'm trying to avoid it, but it was Naughty Dog, so I trust them, and I bought it a long time ago, so it'll be good. I also bought Mirror's Edge around that time because I really like Mirror's Edge, so hopefully that'll be good too. And then Doom's coming out. I can't imagine them fucking that up, and I don't think it'll be an online only game. That's just my personal opinion. I've tried to send messages to Bethesda to see if it's gonna be an offline experience for at least the single player campaign, and they won't reply, and they won't reply to anybody else's messages. But maybe they just think it's a stupid question, but I sort of think that's bad customer service, but that's just my personal opinion. But I'm super stoked about Doom, and I can't wait until it comes out to play it because it looks like a really fun game. It might not be the traditional version of Doom, and I know they have Brutal Doom and all these cool mods on PC and stuff like that, but you know, there's not a lot of games like that that are arcadey and lengthy, and that's one of the reasons why I really liked Wolfenstein: The New Order so much. Because there wasn't a whole lot like that at that point. So I'm gonna go into my main point. I was thinking about, and first of all, I didn't think I'd have a topic to talk about, but apparently I did. So yeah, so first of all, I want to talk about how great it was when I had a PlayStation 3 when I first got one, which was kind of a funny story. My Xbox 360 got the red light of death, and instead of getting it repaired like a normal person would, I got angry because I'm like, how many times am I going to have to deal with it? I had one of the first models which were highly unreliable, and I got angry at Microsoft, even though I had a PC which I use on a regular basis. But I got angry at Microsoft, and I was like, fuck this shit. So I took all my games to GameStop, traded them in, and got like terrible PlayStation 3 ports of the games that I liked. I got Resistance Fallen Man that I really wanted to play, which is a good game. And yeah, I went to Best Buy and bought a $600 PlayStation. I had a decent job at the time, so money was a big deal, but not enough to hurt me to buy a $600 PlayStation. But the great thing about that was it was backwards compatible natively. I could put a PlayStation 1 disc or a PlayStation 2 disc in it and would play it flawlessly. It had a PlayStation 2 chip inside of it, so it wasn't actually emulating it. It was actually running off of the PlayStation 2 chip. And I believe in Europe, the PlayStation 3 emulated it. Now, keep in mind, the PlayStation 3, reason why it got shitty ports for a long time, and later on the ports were kind of equal. Every once in a while you get a port that was shittier than the Xbox 360 later in the PlayStation 3's life cycle, but pretty much they were equal as time went on, and they even had some better ports, like LA Noire was a little bit better than the 360 version graphic wise. Grand Theft Auto 5 had a little bit of better quality graphics, and I think I can't remember. It just streamed better and stuff like that. They actually put and then the exclusives and stuff like that were really good because the PlayStation 3 had the Blu-ray disc. But my point is, the PlayStation 3 was really hard to program for, and now they have PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 emulation on pretty low end PCs, like lower end than what the PlayStation 4 is. So I'm kind of frustrated a little bit with Sony that they don't release native emulation. I mean, how cool would that be? Like, every game doesn't have to work or whatever, but have like a program like the piece like they have on PCs. Like, I know it can do it, especially with PlayStation 1 games. I know it that like it could easily emulate these games because they have PCs with lesser specs than the PlayStation 4. I mean, the PlayStation 4 isn't even close to a top tier PC, but since they're able to program the games for the PlayStation 4 specifically, and they don't have to make a game for like a wide range of systems, they can actually make the games look way better than what you could probably with a PC with similar specs. But yeah, so they could easily do PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 native emulation. Not every game would work, but that's the way emulation works. And I'm just like, why are they? Well, I know why they're doing it, but they're selling like these games that a lot of these games I already own or whatever, and I'm be like, how cool would it be? Granted, I won't be able to stream the games and I won't be able to get the trophies, but that shit's not really that important to me. I don't even have the room for like a CRT television. I mean, I don't mind hooking up my NES and shit like that to the TV in the other room or whatever and deal with it, but there's like input lag and stuff like that. 2D games hold up better than 3D games in my opinion, as far as things being blown up goes on a bigger screen, especially LCDs. Like, if I put in an NES game, it'll look pretty decent and close to what it looks like, versus if I put in a PlayStation 2 game in the TV. My TV in the living room upscales the PlayStation 2 fairly well, but there still is that input lag that wasn't there with when I used to play on my original PlayStation 3. Unfortunately, the original PlayStation 3s don't hold up all that well. They overheat. They used a solder that didn't have lead in it, so when it got to a certain temperature, the solder would soften and the actual processor would lift up from the board. Like, I fixed all of it, but you know, it's still not reliable, and if a disk gets stuck in the system, then I'd have to fucking take it all apart and eject it manually and all this shit, and it's fucking nuts. And I really don't want to deal with it, and it would just be nice if Sony would just put in an emulation program. Just accept it as it is. They're not going to lose any money, because you know what? A lot of people sold their PlayStation 2s. I actually, unless they're collectors, I don't even know a lot of people who still have their PlayStation 2 who still play their PlayStation 2 games. So for like the minority of people who've kept their PlayStation 2 library, it would have been nice to have native emulation, which the PlayStation 4 is fully capable of doing with PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 1 games. And it's nice that they have the option to buy them, but most of the games that they're selling are super easy to get, greatest hits type of games that are easy to come by. If they put like some rarer games up there, if they could get the rights to them, like Rule of Rose for instance, on the PlayStation 3, even though I can play PlayStation 1 games natively on the PlayStation 3, that's the one thing that the PlayStation 3 still can play, like the newer models, because I have a super slim. I have my old one in the other room, but like I said, I might use it for recording videos on PlayStation 2 at some point once I get a proper desk set up. Like when I got my new TV, I actually had to take the table that I was using as a desk and use as a TV stand for right now. because I didn't realize how big the fucking TV was until I brought it home, because like the person that I am that prepares all the time, I didn't measure everything ahead of time and it didn't fit the TV stand. So until I get a proper desk, but I'd like to have a little station in my room where I can do artwork and work on the computer and stuff like that. And maybe for a 15-minute video or whatever, I don't have to worry about it overheating, because despite cleaning it out and everything like that, unless I resolder every little part of the PlayStation 3, it's gonna overheat again, and it's gonna have, what is the yellow lighted death or whatever. The PlayStation 3 has its own little thing, and yeah, once that happens, you can't get your discs out and stuff like that, and the fucking thing sounds like a jet engine, but it plays PlayStation 2 games flawlessly, and it's awesome and really convenient, and you don't have that input lag, and you really don't notice the input lag unless you play like action-based games, but it's noticeable like if you go through like menus and stuff like that, and it kind of becomes annoying, and you don't get, I mean, you get used to it, but you don't, like, it's still in the back of your mind. And I don't know, I just would rather not have a PlayStation 2 hooked up at all times, have everything streamlined, because I know they can do it, and if it doesn't work with every game, that's fine, but that'd be a really cool service to their customers, because they could do it, and like I said, they could get the rights to some of these rare games. Like I said, even though I could natively play like PlayStation 1 games on the PlayStation 3, and then even PlayStation 2, if I couldn't find the game at the store or whatever, or if I could and it was super expensive and they were selling it for $9 or whatever, I'd be more than happy to buy it. So they can still make money, and plus, like I said, there's this huge crowd of people who got rid of all their stuff that'd be more than happy to buy like the stuff that they're selling on the PlayStation 4 store, whatever they call the PlayStation Network store. So I think that they wouldn't be losing money, and it would just, I don't know, it would show some appreciation towards the customers instead of taking money from them all the time. So that's just my opinion on that, and it would be nice, and I understand if every game doesn't work, that's just the way emulation works, but for something that's so close to a PC, and shittier spec PC games can run PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games, it's fully capable to do at least a decent amount of games natively if I put in the disc. So that's just my opinion on that. And like I said, if they put rare games that I can't afford, like some of these games are going for $100, $70, and they're shitty condition, like missing the book, the case is all fucked up on it, and shit like that. Like, I would much rather just, because I'm one of those people that I like to get physical copies, but at the end of the day, like, all I want to do is play the game. So if I have to compromise and save like $90 and pay $10 for a $100 game, I would be more than happy to do that. So like I said, they could still make money and still have native emulation, in my opinion. So anyway, I'm gonna stop the video here. I'm rambling. I gotta delete the video that was before this because I look like a fucking fool. I got 3 messages. I guess everybody was telling me on the last video. Obviously, I didn't get any messages here because I think those people gave up on me. But I had like 3 messages. I couldn't see them because I didn't have the little text scroll screen there where you get to see the messages. So yeah, I think they were all telling me that the sound wasn't working, and I probably look like a fucking idiot, but it wouldn't be the first time. So I guess live and let learn, or however that phrase is. So thank you guys so much for watching. Sorry about the first video if you were watching and trying to talk to me and I looked like an idiot talking and not being able to see your messages and you can't hear me. So I appreciate you guys watching these videos and stuff like that. I notice I've been getting more views on these talking videos than the gameplay video games. Obviously I'm gonna do what I want. That sounds super selfish, but it's my channel. So yeah, I'll still do gameplay videos, but if I have an idea or a topic that I actually want to talk about, I'll try doing these videos. I know they're not super fancy or whatever, and they probably look pretty fucking gimmicky with all this shit floating around. But I appreciate all the support that you guys give me for my channel, whether it's commenting, watching, or whatever. It's all appreciated, and I thank you so much for it, because I'm nobody. Like, so for you guys to pay attention and to comment and stuff like that, it means a lot. And I know it's super weird to see me on the screen or whatever. I'm usually pretty insecure or whatever and don't want to see myself on film, so this is kind of tough. Like, even though I'm looking at like this camera that looks like Johnny Five from Short Circuit, I feel super shy or whatever, because I know that people are eventually going to see this, so it's almost like reading a paper in front of a classroom. So unfortunately I don't know who's watching, although I don't want to picture any of you naked, so that wouldn't help to be able to do this easier. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate it and all the support that you give me, and it means so much. I will talk to you on the next video, whether it's a gameplay video or one of these. I always say that I don't have a topic to talk about, but I always seem to ramble and think of something at some point, so we'll see. Take care, and I hope you're all doing well. And even though I want to leave abruptly right now, I have to go through this whole process of turning it off and looking like a tool. So here we go, tool time. Take care.